Anyone managing bordereau data knows the pain of a mapping error. In most systems, fixing one means consultant calls, manual rework across every affected file, and days of waiting every single time. In this video, Aaron, our head of product, is going to show you how Verodat handles that differently. You'll see him identify where incorrect mappings have been applied, fix them, add a brand new field retrospectively across the full dataset, and reprocess the entire batch in minutes.
Hello, just like to take you through one of our new features that allows us to bulk reprocess our uploads. This is particularly useful when you have data loaded into your warehouse via Verodat, and then you want to reprocess it for some reason. A mistake may have been made, a mapping issue, or you want to add a new field and map something to it. This feature allows you to go back over hundreds and thousands of your uploads and change a mapping, reprocess, and then see the impact quickly within your own warehouse. So I'm using the use case here, this bordereau use case to showcase. And we have our risk and premium data set here, which is already loaded with some data. And I have had 12 uploads for a particular cover holder called Orion for each month of the year. It has loaded 168 rows of data for the consolidation of those 12 files into the database. Our database is SQL Server. You can see in SQL Server as well, jump to the corresponding data set that is also populated with the 168 rows. So what I want to do now is upload some more data to this with the particular mapping, and then come back and reprocess the uploads with changes to the mappings and maybe additions to some fields as well. So I'm going to upload a file. This is the particular file I'm uploading. It's similar to Orion. It's got 12 different tabs for each of the months of the year, and then some data in each of those of varying lengths. I'm going to use my multi-tab uploader to upload them all. Header rows from row number 1, and I'm going to use the Eagle mapping for this. This kicks off the processing for those 12 files, and these should process 11 of them went through that without issue. We had the month of April, some data quality issues, so let's just jump in to see what those were. We'll correct for this. New business here should have a space. Got an expiry date that is before inception date, so we'll just assume that that was an incorrect year for that particular expiry. Save that and reprocess. I'm just showing you some of these corrections because we can choose in our bulk reprocessing whether to reapply those corrections or to hold them back and use the original file for processing. Commit this last file through, and we should now see in our output in SQL Server that we've got Eagle and Orion in there. And likewise in the database, if I refresh my screen here, we've now populated our data with both sets of cover holders. What I might want to do is some corrections. So as I scan through this output, I can see a couple of issues. For example, this UMR here is not accurate for each of my cover holders. So that might be something I should have put in correctly in our mapping. Also, if I look at my gross versus net premium, my net premium is coming out higher than my gross premium. So I think I might have mapped the wrong column there. So this is something I need to correct. Also looking at my schema, the files I'm uploading actually have a field called flood. I haven't got that in my schema, so this might be a new field that I might want to add. So let me do that first. I'll add in a new column, which is different to the columns that I've just uploaded that file to. I'll call it flood, make it a string. So that's now added. So I go to my Eagle file now. I'm going to change the mapping in here. So I will see that, yes, I've hard-coded this value for the UMR, which is incorrect. And also my net premium is mapped to gross to net. So let me map that correctly. I can save that mapping and update it. And likewise, it would be good to actually pull the UMR from the contract table. So let me understand what I have in my contract for this particular cover holder. My contract will tell me exactly what my UMR is given a particular cover holder name and year of account. So I can use a lookup function just to return that. So let me go into my expression builder and look up get against cover holder contracts. I want to bring back, or I want to look up again, unique ID, and I want to return the UMR column. And in my incoming bordereau, it is Eagle 2024. So let's see if that returns the correct UMR. It does so. That pulls up the value from that associated contract. I can save that off against my mapping, and that's now bringing it in correctly. So let me save that off, update the mapping again. I also note I've got the new field in here, flood that I want to capture, that I forgot to capture in my first set of uploads. Save that as well. And now I can return to my upload screen check all of the uploads for Eagle. I can filter for my particular Eagle mapping. So let's just focus on reprocessing Eagle first. Use my reprocess, or select all of those uploads, reprocess, give this a name. So reprocess for Eagle with gross to net, UMR and floodery added. So just give an indication as to the changes that you've made. Continue on errors means if you encounter errors, we still go on to the next file. We're going to auto commit the data into the database. We're going to start processing as soon as I create the task. And this button here, so I corrected issues on the April file. This is saying, do you want to keep the corrections that you made while you're reprocessing, or do you want to revert back to the original file? In this case, I want to keep the manual changes because they will still be applicable. So I create the task, and this should set the bulk process loading. So it's kept all the original commits, but it has created these new commits. I can see in my bulk processing that this is now in progress, and we will just wait for the processing to go through. So the system will effectively run through each one in turn, processing the file bulk as if you were doing it manually in the screen. So there's 2 completed, and it'll work through the rest. That is now fully completed. Took about 1 to 2 minutes to run through all of the uploads. You can see here its progress is done. If I go back to my uploads, I will see all those reprocess uploads have gone in. I can check my outputs now to see if they're aligned. So I've now changed my data warehouse in minutes, adding in this UMR. That was previously incorrect. Across, I also have my gross premium. That looks better. So I now have gross premium higher than net premium. And I'm now also capturing my floodery value. And this is obviously the same in here. If I refresh in my database, warehouse has been changed accordingly. Primary keys on the table has allowed for updating of the data behind the scenes. So you don't need to worry about deleting data. In this case, it gracefully handles the updating of data so that all of your records now have the correct UMR, the correct gross premium, and the new field added. So it's quite easy to add new fields, make modifications to mappings that could be applied across many files. This is something you can do in bulk, so it doesn't have to be just for 12 files. You could do this on thousands. Obviously, the time will increase depending on the volume of data. It doesn't have to be smaller data. We've processed files with hundreds of thousands of rows in them as well. Work the same for each, just with varying levels of processing time depending on what your needs are.
What you just saw would typically mean consultant fees, manual rework, and days of waiting. In Verodat, that's a 2-minute job. And it doesn't matter if it's 12 files or 12,000. The process is exactly the same. Multiply that across every batch correction that your team makes in a year, and you're looking at a very significant return on your investment very, very quickly. If you'd like to see what that looks like on your own data, then please get in touch.